stories that will haunt you at night. Reddit r, nosleep. There's something out there. Something just beyond the black square of glass in my window. Something waiting in the dark. Something watching. Growing. Learning. If you stand real still, you can almost feel it writhing against the ground, twisting in the muddy red clay, groaning in pain as its bones stretch and snap, split, splinter. Can you hear the skin pulling tight against a rearranged frame, the flesh shifting and sinking and spilling into freshly made cavities? I can hear it. I swear I can. I really can. I know it's out there, because my granny, she used to say there was something out there, something living in the dense, sloping woods around her house. She used to tell us about the thing all the time. Said we best be in before full dark or else it'd find us. Those old mines in the hills, they belong to it, she said. That's why it smelled like dirt and sweat and sulfur. If you smelled the sulfur, she said, you'd better run like the devil, 'cause the devil was getting ready to run after you. We didn't believe her, that the devil was out here in the hills of Ohio. But sometimes, when the dark started to get real deep up on the hillside, you might smell it. That smell, like old sweat and smoke and bad eggs. And all the tiny little hairs on the back of your neck, they'd stand up straight as a damn board and you'd get that tight squirm in your belly, that little wriggling in your lizard brain that said something was there, watching, so close it was ready to reach out and touch you. And then you knew it was time to find your way down the hillside and get yourself on home. Granny died this summer, and now the old house in the holler is mine. It seemed like such a good idea to come out and find some quiet, find some calm and easy space to live for a bit. Just wanted to be a little closer to her. And maybe to myself. And the daytime is fine. When the valley is bathed in light, it's a beautiful, peaceful thing. Deep forest carpets the sloping walls of hillside to the east and west, with a long stretch of high, waving grass on the valley floor. It's calmer and quieter than I remember, even. But goddamn, it's darker, too. The night sets in like a black ocean wave, sinks and drips over the valley like spilled ink, suffocates all the light with a single-minded purpose that makes it seem alive somehow. The little light out on the porch flickers and weens, as if the dark is pressing in on it, trying to snuff it out. Kill it. It's a different kind of night out here. Different than the negotiable, half-nights I've known in the city. Street lamps and headlights and concrete towers of fluorescence, they dilute the night, make them optional. In a big city, it can be hard to even keep track of the time because of it. These nights here are not optional. They are absolute. They are in control. And yet I still haven't slept since I got here. No more than a few strangled seconds of sleep, I mean. And sleep deprivation is a funny thing. Makes the world lose all its hard edges and define lines. One moment slides into the next, collapses into a heap of other moments, becomes a tangle of lost time and broken hours. And in the deepest pit of the night, in the darkest trench, when you're in your bed and caught in some endless, looping nowhere space between asleep and awake, you lose hold of the difference between what's real and what's not. Between dream and not dream. So when you finally get up in the morning, when the sun finally fills up the window and spills across the wooden slats of the floor, it's easy to convince yourself it wasn't real. That you didn't hear what you know you heard. That there wasn't something out there screaming. And so for the sixth morning in a row I'm trying to make my coffee, but every time I put the grounds in there's already grounds in and I can't figure out how. Can't figure out who is putting grounds in my machine because I'm the only one here. Right? I'm the only person here and I'm the only one making coffee, so why can't I remember adding grounds to the machine? Why? I know I heard it. I know I did. I heard nothing. I heard my own brain struggling to breathe, breaking under the strain of another sleepless night. I'll go into town in a few days and I'll get something, something to help me sleep, and everything will be fine. But I heard it. Hello, twisting scream in the distance, a buzzing, cracking hollering that I've never heard before. Not animal, not human. I've heard foxes and bobcats and even a mountain lion, once. But this isn't that. I'm fine. I don't know what I heard. Everything is fine. Out into the yard to clear some brush from the back of the house. The physical labor helps me forget about it, the screaming, but the exhaustion is close at hand, nipping at the edges of my thoughts. Swinging an axe at a sapling, but it just seemed to bend away and nothing is going right. Nothing is working. All the wind rushes out of me faster than it should. I'm just so fucking tired. Dripping. Something is dripping onto the leaves near my feet. Just a soft pip 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 pip. I lift my hand and find that it's drenched in blood. Shit. When did that happen? The palm is gashed open and blood is pouring out, racing down my fingers in thick rivulets, rushing toward the ground like that's where it was always meant to be. It doesn't hurt, but panic swells inside me. I should know what to do, but I feel frozen. The blood pip pip pips into the dirt. Evan? Something calls my name. From up on the hill, between the rustling of the trees, the sound slithers down the slope and through the air. It's nowhere, it's everywhere. It's everything, it's nothing. F-view. It calls my name again, and this time it pulls on the syllables, like a baby testing its own tongue, playing with the sounds in its mouth. My heart swells up into my throat and I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't think, I can't move. The blood goes pip pip pip. Evan? It's a scream this time, that same screaming from last night, that twisting metal, whirring saw, glass between your teeth screaming. I'm moving before I even know what I'm doing, sprinting over the dry red clay and brown grass and up the creaking steps of the porch. The screen door slams behind me and I push the heavier house door shut, lock the bolt, leave behind a smear of blood. A smear of blood. Panting, trying to find my breath, clutching my hand against my shirt. What the fuck did I just hear? I spend the evening binding up my hand and trying to remember more of what my granny used to say about the thing on the hill. I wish I could call my brother and ask him, but the cell reception here is terrible, and the cell phone is all I have. I open the microwave and extend a still shaking hand to put a frozen dinner in, but there's already a dinner in there, cooked but long forgotten and cold. Fuck. I'm losing my mind. I eat my dinner but the night is coming and the night is coming and the night is coming and I can't stop it, can't stop the dark, I can't stop it and I can't get my thoughts in order, can't seem to hold on to them at all, they just run through my fingers like sand, just run in loops that won't link together and make sense. The fear is tangling me up and the exhaustion is pulling me down, like gravity. Did I eat? I did. Am I sure? No, but I feel full. What's that buzzing sound? Like a bee, inside my head, bouncing against the inside of my skull and I can't make it stop. I'm so fucking tired. Did I lock the doors? I did. Am I sure? No, I'm not sure. I pace the house and check the locks again, check the locks again, check the locks again. I check the windows, pull all the curtains closed. When I get to the bedroom window, on the second floor, I pause. I look out over their long, graveled driveway. The sun is sinking low and the valley is bathed in deep, orange light. The night is creeping in, the shadows getting long. And out by the crooked wooden gate, something is moving. It's a dog. I can't tell what kind, I can only see its flat, black silhouette in the setting sun. I can see a pair of large, pointed ears and a sloping snout. I watch it for a moment, bandaged hand on the curtain. Bandaged hand on the curtain. My hurting hand is on the curtain. And then, absurdly, impossibly, the dog. It stands up. It unfolds from the ground, like a man, stands up on two legs, it stands up, it fucking stood up, it's standing up. I snap the curtain over the window and fall back, trip over my own feet, hit the floor hard and scamper to the far wall. Shit 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 shit. Did I imagine it? Surely I imagined it. My brain has betrayed me. Van. A voice calls my name again, but this time I recognize it. It's my granny's voice. I crawl back to the window, look outside again. The thing is leaned low, back arched, and its long, sloping head is swinging back and forth, as if searching for me. It's not animal and it's not human, just a black, mal-shaped thing twitching its way down the driveway. It's close enough now that I can see its face, long and covered in patches of bare, yellow bone, as if only half-formed, half done being shaped. Its eyes are empty black holes. Its face is moving, squirming, writhing. Pieces are dripping away onto the ground and I realize they're maggots, crawling through the matted black fur, twisting over the exposed bones. Fun, come to GR Granny. I think about running. Hitting the back door and circling around the side of the house to my car. Maybe I could make it. Maybe. But then. Out by the fence. More dark shapes. Unfolding from the ground. Standing up. And the darkness, swallowing everything up. Swallowing. Swallowing. Swallowing everything up. And all I can think is, how will I ever sleep again? My name is Rod J. Covey and I am literally in hell. Well, not just me. A lot of us are. It's just, I'm not sure how many of us know it. You see, whatever it is that's happening, whatever it is controlling it, I think it's gone too far and a lot of us are waking up. The thing is, if you understand this, you are too. I had an amazing life at one point. I'm starting to remember it sometimes. I had an amazing career, and I was engaged to the most amazing girl. Then just like that it all went away. When was that, you ask? Well, not 2012 like everyone thinks. You have to go 4 years back to 2008. In September 2008 the Large Hadron Collider was turned on. If you look back, you can find September, October 2008 to be the time everything really started falling apart. In an instant our reality was destroyed. I think it's really important to clarify that I'm not sure if this is the normal notion of hell. What's kinda funny is that the good place came on just as everything really started getting bad. Like a middle finger to all of us explaining what's going on. Why am I so sure, you ask? Well, the last 12 years have been my own personal hell in every way I could imagine at 20. I haven't told any of the people I actually know, because I don't know what happens if it or whatever knows that I figured it out. If it doesn't already. You see, I had a ton of dreams before. And I have memories of accomplishment, but nothing lasting. Only in hell can you make 6 figures in a year, not be able to spend it, and somehow remember it just going away. I don't mean I don't remember what I spent it on, I remember not spending it, and until recently that hasn't bothered me. It's like I'm realizing a lot of false memories are exactly that. False. I am sure my parents aren't real. At least, not really my parents. They split up 2 years ago, and prior to 2008 they had an amazing marriage. They didn't just get mad at each other over time. My mum specifically tells me things that my dad did that flat out didn't happen. Not out of some sort of spite, or a need to hate my father. Like she's playing a part. Like she's being told to convince me. I mean really, we went from a time of help to this. Without all the weird stuff, it is obvious this was made for torture, right? One of you has to know what I mean. Whatever it is, I think it knows something is up. As I write this, I can feel the pressure build in whatever hell this is. Whole intense pressure. Like it is trying to make me forget. Please, if this makes sense, let me know. I can't be the only one. This was the real thing that actually got me interested in this stuff back in April 2015. I was a seminary grad and had seen some things that were unexplainable, like witches knowing things about us they couldn't have and phone calls getting fuzzy when we tried to counsel people who were tormented. This was something I actually saw though. We bought a house from my wife's relatives and were almost done moving in. Her family was eating at a restaurant nearby and my family was backresting at our old house a few miles away. It was dark and I was finishing up moving some last boxes and was about to lock the front door. It's here I should probably mention when we were dating I had stayed here with them a few times and again when we moved to the area after we got married. I worked evenings and would hang out in the living room after I got home, which was an add-on off of the original house. I would hear creaking and footsteps from the main house, yet I saw nothing walking by the entry. I asked my wife and she told me that always happened when someone new stayed with the family. She also said it could only stay in the original part of the house. Therefore I spent pretty much all my time in the add-on. When I asked a relative who lived there, he said after his father, my wife's granddad, died, he fell asleep at the kitchen table and dreamed that his father came and told him to leave his grave alone. A few years later the family had to dig up the grave for ground repairs and tried to open the sarcophagus, but it would not open. My dad-in-law laughed and said I told you he didn't want to be disturbed. It's also important to note that my wife's granddad, her dad and I are all the same height and build. Both of them were cops and I was working at a dangerous job where I protected people. All of us had similar lives. Also, there was always a picture on the stairwell wall of the granddad smiling in his white uniform. He was the town marshal of a small backwoods town that no longer exists, look up Times Beach, Missouri. The town was shut down due to chemical poisoning, but being a stubborn protector he stuck around. He died at an old age but he still died from the chemical poisoning. They said when my wife was a toddler, she'd point at an empty space and say Grandpa. That was after he died. Now back to where I stood locking the front door that night. I'd left a light on in the house to discourage would-be robbers. When I looked up, a bright white figure with grey hair, my height, walked left to right in front of me inside the house. I could see it through the glass. It walked at a pace like a guard making their rounds. It was especially freaky because I knew I had cleared the house before I stepped out. I was freaked out, but I still drew my gun and cleared the house. Nothing. Totally clean. I got out of there fast and went to the restaurant where the folks were eating. They could tell I was freaked out even though I tried to hide it. I sat with them and asked lots of questions as I explained what happened. They acted perfectly calm because apparently they were expecting something like this. They said when an uncle was staying with them he thought he saw my dad-in-law walking by from the living room. He was at work several miles away. I asked the uncle later and he started physically shaking and didn't want to talk about it. I could tell he saw the same thing I did. Strange things also happened anytime people were moving furniture in and out of the house. I asked my mother-in-law why it did this to me that night. You pulled your gun out and cleared the house, right? She asked. I said yes. She answered. He did that kind of thing when he was alive. He wanted to know if you'd man up and protect your family or if you were a chicken. I guess you passed. It's been 5 years now and here's the thing ... I don't think it was the grandfather. Don't get me wrong, he was there in his stead. But I've learned from my studies and experience that there are entities in this world which we call angels and demons. It's pretty simple, if you see it doing good things it's an angel and if you see it doing bad, it's a demon. People's spirits move on when they die. These creatures are either personal or territorial. They take on forms to either allure and then deceive you or, in the good case like this, to put you at ease in the form of something familiar and familial. I believe this is the family's guardian angel. I've also always had a sense about these things. Like my dad, who was a Marine and then a preacher, go figure, I could always sense what people's motives were. Recently I slowed down driving up a hill and got over. My wife asked what was wrong and I said I didn't know. On the other side, there was a cop sitting at a speed trap. I tried to warn friends in seminary about a preacher who was a bad dude. Everyone scoffed at me, but now the guy's doing 10 years in prison. These are the kinds of things I perceive. I believe there's a link between what we call supernatural and science. We simply don't understand it yet. But it's very real. These days I hear it walking around the circle of the main house, like on a patrol as I relax in the living room after my shift. You stay on your side and I'll stay on mine, I joke with him, even though it still freaks me out a bit. One time recently though, it stopped for a while. I was relieved at first, but then I heard sounds in the main house again. This time it wasn't peaceful, it was malicious. It was something else, and not good. I said from my seat, I'm not going over there. Bad idea. Never taunt them. Then I heard steps going upstairs towards my kids' room and I realized the upstairs was an original part of the house. I heard my kid wake up crying. I quickly but silently ran upstairs and comforted him. He said he had a bad dream and went back to bed. I went downstairs and quoted Psalm 23. I remembered when my brother counseled someone, what he had told me. An entity had to be ordered away from both the person and the place. So I ordered it to not only leave the place and never return, but to leave alone everyone in our family. Your faith can stop it from possessing you, but not from torment. After that, things have been peaceful and I still hear the footsteps in the main house, peaceful ones though. They can't read your mind, but remember they see and hear all you do and can tell their buddies about you like demonic, gossipy cheerleaders in high school, not that different, actually. They use their knowledge against you. If you're into something bad, they use that against you, and an angel can't go there to protect you. So when our ancestors passed down the nursery rhyme, oh be careful little eyes what you see. Oh be careful little ears what you hear. Oh be careful little mouth what you say, it wasn't just a rhyme. They were trying to pass down a warning that we would have scoffed at, because in our youth we're too naive to understand. Now we know, so be careful. I am a single female living alone in nearby a college campus. It was the middle of February, during the dead of winter, and the sun sets really early here, 5 p.m. and pure darkness. I had returned from a weekend away, taking the bus home. From the bus stop to my apartment, was a 15-minute walk. That night I returned home, something had went horribly wrong. Someone followed me home. I was unpacking my bags from my weekend away, and that's when I heard the door banging. Knock, knock, knock. Then it started to become louder and louder, until it was pounding on my door. My heart froze. I had recently broken up with an ex-boyfriend who was stalking me, and really scared me. I had to change my number, address, and even left my college residence for a period of time, worried he would find me. He found me. The door kept banging. I crept towards the peephole in my door, careful not to show my shadows through the glaring light from under my door. A man stood there, in the middle of the night. He had a 1920s gangster fedora on, and a light brown trench coat, intentionally hiding his face. I was worried it might be him, same stature and height, but his voice didn't sound the same. Either way, I screwed up. He saw the shadow reflection from the light seeping through my door. Please open up, it's important, he explained, making sure his face was covered. I carefully stepped away, my adrenaline pumping through my veins. I ran to the kitchen to grab the biggest cutting knife I could find. Then, carefully tiptoeing past the door, towards my bedroom. Hello. Hello. I'm here to complete a survey. I need to speak with you now. He was yelling this over and over. I need to ask you some questions, please let me in. Hello. Hello. Please answer the door, he shouted. What I don't understand is why he is yelling through my door, incessantly banging on the door trying to convince me to open up at almost 8 p.m. at night, hiding his face from the door. And wearing a giant hat, in the middle of night, with a fully covered trench coat to top it all off. I made it to my bedroom, locked the door and promptly called the police. After 20 minutes, silence. He left. The police could never find him after searching the area. He had managed to pass through the security checkpoint buzzer system in order to open the door, and very well knew he was trespassing. He left his calling card which claimed he was a government employee for surveys, with his full name and phone number. I called the number but they didn't recall anyone with that name, and claimed no one had been out for scheduled surveys, or that time of hour, 9:04 p.m. I had asked no visits to be done at my apartment, ever. About a month later, I had been away for a couple of weeks in the Caribbean. I had returned home, again at night, and found his calling card jammed into my door, saying that he looks like I missed you and that he would try to return again in a month. Thank you for watching Voice of Horror. Please leave a like and share and don't forget to subscribe, for the latest videos uploaded daily. Subscribe, for the latest videos uploaded daily. Subscribe, for the latest videos uploaded daily. Subscribe, for the latest video.